Alrighty. Is it working? Oh, okay, cool. Um, the list is going around, so just put your name on the group, and then we got the groups fixed for the book. So basically, the idea. Let me rephrase that. What you will find is you will find this wiki book, right? The link is there, and you look at the wiki book, and I just put basically my lecture notes. Yeah, that's what I did. So what you find is for each of these chapters, you will find my lecture notes. You find some references, some additional information, and you just read that and maybe look at some of the books, whatever you want to do. And then you can do with the wiki book whatever you want. I mean, you can delete everything. I mean, in your chapter. Don't screw up the other guys' chapter. In your chapter, you can add new material. You can say, hey, this is completely irrelevant what this guy said. We do something completely different. Or you say, hey, this is cool. Let's do some more research and let's write some more on this topic. Yeah. And so in the end, I would like that every one of you basically writes about 2 pages. Yeah. So that if you're a member, if you're like 4 team members, then in the end each chapter should be like 8 pages or something. The more the better. But again, remember the Eisenhower principle. So you have your priorities. What I will also look at is at references. So when you do reading, when you find additional material, yeah, please write it in the references. So the more references, the more scientific, so to say, something becomes, yeah. And try to, not just quote Wikipedia, but also try to look at secondary and primary resources. Yeah. So this is the idea here. That's the idea behind the wiki book. And if you recollect, I would like your group then to make a presentation where you basically tell us your version of, let's say, for example, social gaming. Yeah. Currently, I tell you my version, but then in about 4 or 5 weeks, I want to hear your version. Yeah. So preferably the number 1 team blogs and number 2 team collaboration will work a little harder so they can do their presentation first. But in case that doesn't work, we'll just switch it around. I don't think the order is really that important. Do you have any questions on that part which is called Wikibook? Already? Is that no? You're just scratching your head. Okay. The one thing I want to talk about a little bit more today is this collaboration. Social networks, pardon me. Social networks is the topic. This is what I would be talking about a little bit. And then I don't want to talk so much. I want us to do stuff that I think is more important than talking. Definition, what is a social network? And in that case, we're not meaning Facebook. We just mean a network of people in a social setting. So a social network, this is the definition of a networking service. It's an online service platform or site that focuses on building and reflecting of social networks or social relations among people who, for example, share interests and or activities. The social network service consists of a representation of each user, often a profile, his, her social links, and a variety of additional services. So this is the online Facebook kind of social network. We'll see what other social networks are in a moment. And if you look for popular ones, yes, there is Facebook, yes, there's Google+, Orkut is also part of Google. I'm not sure if that is still alive. MySpace, LinkedIn, and many more like Sing or whatever have you. These are all online social networks. This is something we'll do in a little bit where, we can do that right now. Who is using Facebook here? Quite a bit. Who is using Google+? Alrighty, I'm using it too. Who is using MySpace? Anybody is using? No more. What else do we have? There's these German guys, StudiVZ, and so anybody using StudiVZ? Yeah. It's getting less popular. Or there's the Lokalisten. Anybody uses the Lokalisten? Never heard of it, right? Wer kennt wen? No. Xing, are you on Xing? Slowly you should get on Xing because a lot of headhunters are out there. So if you're looking for a job, it's a good idea to be visible on Xing. Xing is a professional network, so it's more for you're looking for jobs and you're trying to present your resume and things like that. Xing is more on Germany. LinkedIn is the same one in international. So if you look for international jobs, you want to be in the LinkedIn network. What other question do I have? How much time do you spend? Right, that is an interesting question. I hardly spend any time on these guys. I mean, sometimes I think people are not doing anything but using Facebook. Is it in terms of 1 hour a day? Who is spending more than 1 hour a day on Facebook? More than 1 hour a day. Alrighty. I'm very sorry for you. No, please don't take that serious. So that's still okay. More than 2 hours? Nobody more. Okay, we're good. Nobody more than 2 hours. Right. But it's my fault because I told you to do Facebook, right? I'm to blame, correct? Um, uh, what do you do there? You write? Are you more writing or are you more reading? What is your favorite activity? Stalking. You stalk people. Alrighty. Um, yeah. What you use this timeline or the groups? Google Groups. Okay. And example, what kind of groups are there? Okay. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. Cool. Um, so that is actually related to school. Interesting. Interesting. And other examples of groups? Yeah. Okay. Sports. Okay. And so you have a meeting. You schedule meetings, or you say, oh, when. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. 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 So exchange information and make appointments or meetings and okay. Yes, please. I guess so. If there's many people sharing information and it's everybody can write, I would say so. Yes. And so, what do you do there? What are you doing there? Was machen Sie da? Sharing information. Okay, so that's mostly what it is, I guess. Sharing information in different contexts. Okay, okay. So it's a easy way to communicate, offline communication. You're not using email, but you're using Facebook instead. So it has replaced the email service basically, and it's more like because it's easier to use. I understand. Uh huh. Okay, that's an interesting aspect. And is it also interesting because it's one-to-many, or is it so you don't have to write email to everyone, so you share it? So because email you is a one-to-one kind of communication, whereas Facebook is more like okay, didn't think of that. Other uses of any of these social networks that you're using? Yes, please. Uh huh. Okay. Okay. So it's an interest group in that kind of like hiking or to finding nice places, and you share that information. So you post, oh, I found this place and this is cool, and uh-huh. Alrighty, cool. Yes. Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. And have you been using Flickr before? No. But the nice thing in Facebook, all your friends are, and so it's very easy to use that. So the posting of images is an interesting feature. Okay. So you've like a party or like as you, for a sports event, a meeting, and so you say, hey, how about that time and that place, and then people will say, yes, this is fine, or say, no, I can't. Alrighty. So it's a scheduling kind of application. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. Interesting. Another application? I think we've got quite a few. Well, I never thought that you could use Facebook for these many things. But the nice thing is because all the people are there and they're using it, and so you can do that. But the key feature is these special interest groups where you can say, hey, for this class we're going to have this one, for this one we have this one, and so yeah. Alrighty, cool. Here, let's continue here a little bit. If what I want to talk about is that, as we have seen, I mentioned that already the first time, that the popularity changes. And so this is just for Germany. So these are some of the social networks in Germany. And so I listed here Facebook and StudiVZ, Google+, Wer kennt wen, this Jabi. There is Lokalisten and Stay Friends. I guess these are some of the more popular ones. When I went through the literature, I saw those again and again. And so I went to something called Google Trends. And if you haven't used that, you should definitely try to use it. That's a very nice tool when you write on your bachelor thesis or something, or you do some research. It will help you to get some data on certain things. And so you see the blue one is StudiVZ, and you see in Germany it used to be the most popular social network, definitely by a factor of 2 at least. You see this and it became less and less popular. You see the yellow one, which is this Wer kennt wen, again became popular in the middle of 2008 and kind of disappears again. The green one, which is the Lokalisten, is also kind of dropping off. Google Plus we see back there starting. I didn't put Facebook on there because Facebook would be off the chart and you wouldn't see the other guys. Interesting is this Jabi thing, which, you know, it seems to kind of stay constant. It doesn't go down again, which I thought was interesting in this context. Has anybody ever heard of this Jabi thing? No, right? So maybe check it out sometime. I just thought that was kind of interesting to see. And so basically what this Google Trends does, you type in the search for Google, you type in Jabi. And they just count how often did people type Jabi. And that's what this is. This is basically how often people were looking for a certain term. Yeah, and there's nothing else. So, for example, you see in July 2007, you know, whatever, you know, 2,000 people were typing in Wer kennt wen, or were typing in StudiVZ into the Google search. And this is what you see here. So this is kind of a measure of popularity. Yeah. It's for Google that doesn't quite work because many people may type Google Plus, or they may just type Google and it's still counted as Google Plus. So it's a little hard. But for something like Jabi, I mean, you wouldn't type Jabi if you're not looking for Jabi, right? So that will definitely work very well. Now, there's an interesting other tool, this is called the DoubleClick Ad Planner. So let's say you want to do advertisement with Google, and then Google will tell you how often certain things were being searched. And I'll show you in some of the exercises. This is exercise 7. If you're interested on how to get this graph, I'll show you how to do that. But again, it shows, you know, how many unique visitors in millions went to a certain website. So you see, to Facebook.com, we have about 40 million unique visitors. So these, before we just had, you know, basically search terms. Here we see how often people actually went to a certain website. And you see, for example, that these guys, you know, basically are not used very often. Yeah. So you can say, well, if I want to get the mainstream, if I want to get most people, well, maybe we should stay with Stay Friends and Facebook because they are the most popular ones. So when you plan an ad campaign, you know, this kind of tool may be very helpful in terms of knowing which places to do your advertisement with. So this is interesting. And again, it kind of shows you how popular certain networks are at a certain time. Yeah? This is basically, I've done this for January of 2012. And you see in January 2012, basically, Stay Friends and Wer kennt wen were basically number 2 and number 3. This Jabi was a little going away here. Actually, you should be careful because these 3 guys kind of belong together, right? They're basically this VZ networks, and they were kind of stupid to separate that. They should have made it just one thing, and would have had all the traffic. Alrighty. Now Now, this was when we were talking about the social networks in terms of Facebook, in terms of the computer social networks. But there's social networks between people, and that has been there for millions of years. Social networks between people, and so the term social network is actually a theoretical concept as used in the social and behavioral sciences. So that's where that comes from. And it's about the study of relationships between people, the connections between people, and the interaction of individuals and organizations, and how they change over time. So let me give you a very interesting example. There was an experiment done by Stephen Milgram, and we have this in just a moment. The small world experiment. Has anybody heard about the small world experiment? It basically says that everybody on the world is about 6 connections away. So if I have a network connection and you're the friend of this guy and this guy is the friend of that guy, and we are all related by, on average, a maximum of 6 connections. And how does it come out, and how was that found? And it was Stephen Milgram, and it was in the 1960s, so long before the internet. What this guy did, he went to Oklahoma, and he said he put a name on there of a person in Boston. Oklahoma is on one side of the U.S. and Boston is on the other side. But he didn't put the address there. He just put the name and said this guy is in Boston. And so he gave these to people, and he said, you send it to somebody who is more likely than you to know this person. And so they didn't know the address. There was no internet where you're supposed to look up the address. You're just supposed to give people that you know. And the funny thing is, although these packages didn't have addresses on them, they basically just had names of people that were in Boston, on average, after about 6 hops, these packages got to the destination. Yeah? So he just wrote down who sent it to whom, but there's always the restriction that it has to be a friend of yours. Yeah? And it worked. And so this was the first time we said we're living in a small world where people are connected no matter where we come from. And you see that a little bit if you have been using Xing. In Xing, for example, it shows you how far distant you're connected with another person. Yeah? And sometimes it says, oh, you're 2 hops away, sometimes you're 3 hops away. And this is a little bit related to this experiment, and you should definitely read the either the original paper or you read the version on Wikipedia to see how this experiment worked out. There's this other theory which says that we are all genetically related, yeah, through our genes, where you show, hey, because we all mingle more or less after so and so many generations, we are all related to each other, yeah. And so there's a whole bunch of experiments in that order. And this is the social sciences aspect. So this is social and behavioral sciences. And here I have 2 things that I want us to do in terms of activity. The first one, which is kind of interesting, is called Google Flu. Have you ever heard of Google Flu? This is, I've opened it here. It's basically a map of the world, and what it does, it checks what people type again in Google, and if they type in Google headache, or if they look for medicine, or if they say fever, all these things that have to relate it with sickness. And if Google knows the location where this has happened, they can say, hey, in this area, there's not many people looking for flu. Yeah? In this area, there's many people looking for flu. Yeah? So that looks like here we got a flu epidemic, yeah? And over here we don't have a flu epidemic. And again, you use the Google search terms to predict epidemics. And the funny thing, it really works, where you can, usually it would, the Google flu thing is about 2 days ahead of any other method of predicting flu epidemics. Yeah? It's quite amazing. It's a very simple technique, but this is using knowledge and applying it to social behavior. And so that's basically epidemics search engine, so to say, because that's how important Google has become. The second one is a little movie I have here, and I'm not sure if we want to watch this movie here or if we watch this some other time. We can talk about that in a little bit. The next topic I have on my list here is ethnography. And ethnography is a qualitative research method aimed to learn and understand cultural phenomena which reflect the knowledge and system of meanings guiding the life of a cultural group. So here the important thing is where the social group now is a cultural group, where, you know, within Germany, for example, we have those Franconians, right? They're a very odd set of people. And you got these different ethnic groups, sometimes based on region, sometimes based on religion, sometimes based on cultural background or origin. And ethnography is a study that basically studies that. And here there's a very nice talk by Stefana Broadbent on TED, and she talks about how the internet enables intimacy, and this is somewhat related to this topic here. And that's basically all I wanted to talk about today. And so now we are ready to do some of the activities. I think it's better I stop talking and we do some stuff. So.